version 2, the same looking but actually really quite different. This is Scrapebox version 2, and it does look old, doesn't it? And I'll apologise for that. I run Scrapebox on a server, and I just like to get the most out of my server, so I turn off all the themes and all that kind of stuff. So this looks pretty Windows 98 or Windows ME or whatever. But it's just because my servers are remote. I pay for servers all over the place, and I'd just like to get some power out of them, really. The graphical interface doesn't add anything. But anyway, this is Scrapebox version 2, and it does look very similar. Just having a look at this is the beta version for testing purposes only. Some features of this beta version may not function as intended. Can we, as testers, let the guys at Scrapebox developers know if we've come across a problem? So we'll email support and whatnot. But we can, so I don't really want to do a review of this because that would be unfair. Because they've quite clearly said this is a beta version, so I don't want to be reviewing betas or being too critical of betas. What we can do is have a look and see how it differs. So I'll turn that off. What I'll say to start off with is this new version of Scrapebox is an entire recoding. Now it looks very similar. The user interface looks extremely similar. There are a couple of little differences here that I seem to notice. Some of these now have, if I click on that, that'll probably drop. No, that drop down still isn't available. You still have a very similar user interface. A lot of these look very similar. There's a few different graphical touches here, but very, very similar. Some of the features here, like the more list tools, I think that's new. So you can look at platform popularity tools, randomized harvested tools, and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty handy. But what I'm going to do really is go across this top row today and look and see what's there, so we know what's coming. I will say that I've had a little look in the proxy harvester. That isn't suitable for the video, but it is a dickens of a lot faster than it used to be. Now I believe this comes out as a direct response to G-Scrapper, and that's not me saying it wrongly. It's got 2 P's in it, G-Scrapper, and if it's got 1 P it's a scraper, if it's got 2 P's it's a scrapper, which I think is a good name for it, to be honest. I've used Scrapebox since 2009 when it came out. I think I got it late in the year, just about 3 months after it came out. I've used hreffer and I've used G-Scrapper as well. G-Scrapper, the user interface was better, wasn't it? I mean, if you've used it, you guys will know the user interface was better. It looked as if it had a lot more features than Scrapebox. It didn't, but what it did do was it brought the features most used. It looked at how users were using it and brought them to the front, so there were really easy buttons for it, which is something I appreciate. I imagine the developers of Scrapebox V2 were going, well, how are we going to do that and yet keep the user interface familiar for our users? Because let me tell you, tens of thousands of people use Scrapebox. So they've gone for a sort of compromise. It's mostly the old interface which people are familiar with. However, the other thing that G-Scrapper had and hreffer had was they were much faster because they were coded more efficiently. This now, as I've used just the proxy scraper at the moment, is a dickens faster. It's probably as fast as G-Scrapper, if not a little bit faster now. So that's brilliant. It's been recoded from scratch. It's a free upgrade. So if you already own Scrapebox, you don't need to pay any more. I've got a little bit confused with the developer. I thought this was like something I had to buy again separately. You don't. This is a free upgrade for existing Scrapebox users. And it's built, it's totally recoded, and it's built in a modular way. So as new things are added, which is the intention, they can be added much more easily. Now, the new things that have been added since, we'll go straight in here because here's interesting, the premium plugins. So already we can see that the article scraper, the automator, and the rank tracker, which were the premium plugins for Scrapebox V1, still exist in V2, which is great. Article scraper's improved quite a bit since it came out. The automator is fantastic. As you know, you can set it with a list of tasks, and it'll scrape and then post and then do all sorts of different things. You can set it to do all that kind of stuff. And the rank tracker is very handy. It's a cheap and cheerful way of checking your position in the search engines, and it will check through a variety of search engines for your site's position for the key terms you're looking to rank for. Pretty obvious what that is. Anyway, we'll start actually at the beginning. So file is just the exit Scrapebox at the moment. Projects, so you've got a load and save a poster project, which is handy. Load and a Scrapebox V1 poster project, which leads me to believe that the format is slightly different. So this is specifically for loading a project from V1, so it probably needs a little bit of converting. Load application environment, save application environment, which means you're basically saving the state of Scrapebox as it is, which is a very handy thing. You could do it with the previous one. It was a bit hit and miss and jiggery pokery, but that's great. So you save it sort of mid-task, if you like, as it is with its. It can be running through a list. It can putting appending a file, saving to a folder, all that kind of stuff, and it will save in that and continue from where. You set its settings, connections and timeout settings. This is something I'm really pleased to see that has been cleared up. Now, again, nearly all of this functionality was available in Scrapebox V1, but what they've done here, they've some of the things that were joined together, which were annoying and shouldn't have been joined together, they've separated. So some of the timeouts were joined. If you change a timeout for some things, you also change it for others, which wasn't optimal. Now, the connections and the timeouts, you have a look, they're just mirrored. Nothing on this left-hand column changes, just you can have different connections and different timeouts for everything. And I like to have my proxy manager and my proxy harvester timeouts down very low. Because I'm not interested in a proxy if it takes more than 5,000 microseconds, 5 seconds. I don't want it anyway. I certainly don't want my scraper utility to be spending 30 seconds checking for a proxy. If it takes more than 5, I don't want it anyway. It's going to be deleted at the next stage because it's just not responsive enough. So I like to set these low, but you can set the manager and the harvester so that down completely differently and set them independently. Keyword scraper, sometimes that can take a while. Index check, email grabber, all that kind of stuff can take a little longer, and you have all those. So these are really good scraping tools. Likewise, harvester, you can really put that down if you're low on proxies and you're concerned about hitting the same, particularly Google, Yahoo and Bing. If you're using those a lot, you're worried about burning out your proxies, you can set the number of threads that, for instance, if you're checking PageRank, the old Scrapebox used to go to just a couple of different sites and do a free PageRank check, which nearly always involves a call to Google somewhere along the line, either directly by Scrapebox or from the site that you're going. And so they tend to have a timeout or a ban on an IP that calls too often. And so what I'd rather do is set Scrapebox to run for a couple of days on a server and just leave it running slowly, then have it trying to run, with this set right up here, and find out that after 20 minutes it's burnt out all my proxies. I wouldn't set it to 1, but somewhere down here, I'd rather go to bed and leave and it's done thousands than put it up here and find out that a couple of hours later it's only done 500 and all my proxies are burnt. So that's really handy to be able to do all those separately. Link checker, all the rest of it, all good stuff. Some of these you can, like link checker, you may want to put that right up because it just calls each website individually or each URL individually. That's fine. Some of these you want to put right down. It depends on your proxies and your quality and the speed of your pipe. This is a 1 gigabit server, so pipe speed isn't really an issue, but it may be for yourself. It may be for your internet service provider if you're running it on a home PC. So you've got absolute control there. I like it. A little bit better control than you used to have. The engines, once again, this is something that was added in sort of the last year of Scrapebox V1 and it's been carried over to V2. You can add your own engine and you use regular expressions here, which are pretty simple, and the Scrapebox community at scrapebox.com add the sort of the footprints for new engines all the time. I've been there and picked up some others. It comes with these set in there. There's some fantastic ideas I've got. Here's an idea I'm going to throw at you. Don't use Google as an engine, okay? Because it's the strictest on banning your IPs by a long way, and much stricter than even Yahoo or Bing. However, if you then subsequently do a PageRank check using a third-party PageRank checker, if the PageRank is 0 or higher, as long as it's not NA, then you know that site's indexed by Google anyway. So you're not checked. So the question you asked, well, if you don't use Google, how do you know? The only one I want to rank in is Google. If you don't use Google, how do you know the site's ranked in Google? Because if it's got PageRank, even if the PageRank is 0, as long as it's not NA, then it definitely is ranked in Google because Google has given it that PR. Now that's probably only going to be useful for about another year because PR is on the way out. It's only been updated twice in the last 2 years, but at the moment that works. and it's a good way of doing it. There are others as well. I mean, frankly, if it's indexed on 3 or 4 of these other sites, it's indexed on Google. Google index, or I think they've got the highest index ratio of URLs out there. It's very, very close at the top. It's well in the high 90s anyway. So, if you're harvesting 5 million, does it really matter if 1,000 aren't in Google? You know, what's your problem with that? You may have a problem with that. I don't. But to save your proxies and whatever, sometimes don't harvest from Google. There we are. But it's great to see this here. It's really good. You can add new engines. You can test the engine. It'll go and whatever. And you can be quite sophisticated on how it sets up these footprints to add new search engines in there. I like it. Comment grabber. Another brilliant thing. You want some comments. Ideally, you want good English comments. What I like here is you can find your own platform that has real non-spam comments on it that's in your niche. So I'm not saying use people's comments, I'm not saying spam comments, but for you guys that do like to scrape comments, if you go to WordPress and you go to spammy sites, you will find that the comments you scrape from there are terrible. You could make your own just as easy by just pressing a button on a random spinning tool. But if you find your own platform, which if you use Disqus for instance, or if you use a Google Plus or whatever, or Facebook comments on a page, those are all individually written, or I've never seen really spun comments on any of those. You can actually set those up. Create a platform, it'll go away and it'll find comments on those platforms, and you can expect the community to be doing this and constantly adding to the comment grabbing tool, which you can then use or spin or whatever you want. Whatever you guys want to do, it's not something I'll probably be doing, but I can see the potential here. It's fantastic. There was a separate tool available for this by a third party until about 18 months ago, till it was stuck into Scrapebox, and these guys do it right, and it's all built in, and so all you got to do is press a button, it exports them, and great stuff. Well done for putting that in. I finished settings, preferences, so that's just the error log. Okay, options. Name the Scrapebox instance. I should call mine Brian. I used to call it Keith. No, only joking. So user agents. So if you want to use user agents, which is the footprint that you will leave on a site. We've just been told. Some of the big guys in SEO have come to the conclusion, probably quite rightly, that Google is now more accurately measuring user experience on a site. Yes, they probably are. Hold on, I'm going to turn Facebook off because it keeps pinging up my pinging that little ding dong sound to say I'm getting new messages through. Oops. Sorry, user agents. Yeah. So what we're seeing now already, I know there are tools being developed which will mimic users arriving at your site. Again, I am not condoning this, I'm just telling you what's going on. So there are tools being developed by some of the big developers now that will, using proxies to mimic different people, they will arrive at a site using a particular referrer, so they may go to Google or a search engine or another site first and then use that as a referrer. They will have a user agent set up, they will, with all the browser specifications, screen size and all that good stuff which are recorded when they arrive. They will click around your site, they will stay a long period of time, they'll improve your bounce rate. There are systems whereby if you sign up to certain things or you join certain schemes, they will like your stuff on Facebook, they will comment in your comment box, they will retweet your tweets if you've got a Twitter feed on your site, all that stuff to mimic user experience on your site. We knew it was coming as soon as Google announced that this is now a very important factor. It's right up there. It's almost as high a factor as links. We knew the tools were going to come to mimic it, and of course they are. Expect them to be brilliant by the end of 2015, but at the moment they're just coming out. But here we are, custom user agents, remove duplicate domains, check for add-ons and new plugins for startups, so I'll show you those in a moment. Then some pretty sort of housekeeping stuff. Create a desktop shortcut which does exactly what you think. Set up notification email. Oh man, do I love this. So I'm in town on my iPhone and I get a message to say that a scraper job that's been running for 3 or 4 days, because that's how long they run for, has finished. It sends me an email to say it's finished. I can then pop on somewhere with virtual desktop either Internet Cafe, or you can get Virtual Desktop now for Android and iPad devices. I can say, great, now I can set another task to run. So even if you're not using the automator, which we'll look at in a moment, you can set another task. It'll inform you when a task's finished. You just basically tell it what email address to send it to, and it can be several. Blimey, hey, it's harvester complete, posting complete, link checkers complete, whatever's complete, it'll send an email, and there's a test there. How good's that? So even without the automator, you will get knowledge of when a task is finished to your inbox. So I really do like that. Harvester session folder size settings. Way hey, okay. Now this was a thing until about a year ago with Scrapebox V1. I had when the harvester got to about 500,000 URLs, Scrapebox would crash. I'd get the error report come up. Now I've not tested it. This is too new and it's still beta, and it would take several days to scrape that many, unless I just did a random scrape for spammy keywords, in which case it might take a day or so. This now says, I want to know if my harvested megabyte, the number of megabytes my harvested folders, my harvested list is going into exceeds, let's say, 30 megs. If it gets bigger than that, then I know it's probably about 300,000, 500,000. Can you send me an email? And I may want to go in at that point. I want to get a notification, and I want to go in and maybe turn it off if I come across an issue, or that may just be I want to finish at that point. What else we got here? Select preferred download server. So there are a couple of servers to download. So we got a pretty decent ping to download the stuff from Scrapebox. Okay, tools. So you've got the name and email generator, remember that. Scrapebox text editor, remember that. Cloud storage. So you can save your projects to Google Cloud, Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive and SkyDrive. You get in there, you can set them up. So you get in Dropbox, whatever, and you set up your application key and all that, and it'll directly send you stuff to there. Great feature, fellas. I know there's some other tools getting into that, but it's good to see you've really gone for this. Again, indexification service. So the various different indexes. I'm not sure which ones it goes to yet. I mean, which link indexer it uses, but which index server does it use? Oh, I wish I hadn't clicked that because this is running in the background. But anyway, it uses if you use link indexing service, you can use this. So you create links, you can have your criteria, only create links with PR greater than this, with outbound links less than the other. And then I want those links indexed. Is it going to tell me where it's going? It's InnoCoders. So who is it that InnoCoders use? I'll turn that off. So yeah, it's InnoCoders link indexing. So you load the URL, submit, and off it goes. Fantastic. Again, it's automated, it's built in. Right, add-ons. So we've got the usual set of add-ons. This is a 64-bit version. There's a 32-bit and a 64-bit version of Scrapebox v2, including chess. Bless, lovely. Broken link checker, handy. A lot of this stuff, Scrapebox got a name as of a bit of a grey hat tool, maybe shading into black, but a lot of this stuff is just so flipping useful to have for something. If you live in the UK, it's about 60 quid. Scrapebox about $100, and you can pay, each one of these things here. You get 2 or 3 of these things stuck together in a tool that some other bot builder is charging $40 or $50 for just on their own. This is just all works. They're all regularly updated. So you show available add-ons. You say, I did update all these earlier. This is all updated today. And they're all version 2 specific versions of these add-ons, which is great. Then you've got the premium plugins, which I showed you before: Scraper, Automator, Rank Tracker. The Article Scraper, again, these are all recoded, as it says here, for Scrapebox version 2 or higher. The Automator's already been updated once, so it came out for 2, and now it's already at 2.0012, so that's already been updated. That's the one thing about Scrapebox. Sweet Funny and the rest of the people there, they really do a great version. They've updated it since I went out and did the first version of this video. Blimey. And look at those up there. There you are. Just click on that. Huge list just since 2 came out, which is only a few days ago. Fantastic. So that's what I really like about that. There's 2 companies around that have been here for years. Scrapebox, their team has been around since 2009. and it's nearly in 2.15. So about April, it's 5.5, coming up to 6 years old. And the guys at Edwinsoft, who produced Bookmarking Demon in 2006, so they're coming up to 9 years old. Most of the others, even your likes of SE Nuke and that, are all several years younger than that. They're all new boys on the block, really, compared to those two guys. They're the ones that have been around. They're into their third or fourth generation tools now. So we've got the premium plugins. Last one is the Automator. So you get the Automator file. There is no Automator file, so it should it's going to ask where my Automator file is. If you run the Automator, it creates a little task file in Notepad, I think it is, which it will then run through. Right, we'll just run down this menu here because I noticed this video is already starting to pile on now. It's 20 minutes. So you got you created a list, and you can do your usual split list, remove URLs containing entries from, blah blah blah. If there's any there's lots of things you find you want to do. For instance, if you've got subdomains, you don't want to post to those or use those, or if they've got a XXX character in there, you want to get rid of those, or you can set your own footprint you want to remove. So if you've got a list, whether it's a URL list or any other list, it doesn't have to be a URL list. It doesn't have to be a list Scrapebox has scraped. Any list, the remove filter will take that list as long as it's one item per line, and it will apply these rules to it. So it says remove URLs containing. You can remove anything. I've tried it. Trim to root, which is handy if you only want the domain, you don't want all the sub URLs. Check page rank, so you've got the page rank checker, either of the URL or of the domain. Check whether it's indexed or not, Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Again, if you're doing index checking on Google and you've got paid proxies, lower the thread count. Grab and check, grab emails from harvested URLs. Oh my god, okay? So there are people that will sell you email harvesting tools which cost a small fortune. These will go, and if you, for instance, use your custom footprint and you have a load of keywords in here in a particular niche, you grab tens of thousands of sites and you want the contact details for tens of thousands of sites because you want to send an email list. Yes, it would be spammy. Again, this isn't a judgment call, this is just what you can do. It will go and grab the emails from all of those. It will search the pages for contact emails. Again, if you've got a list, if you scraped previously and you've got a list of, I don't know, pages and all sorts of stuff in there, you just want it to find the emails, it'll do those. It'll grab the comments from harvested, or it'll add the meta info. So if you're checking a competitor's site, for instance, and you want to know what their meta page details are, and I think it does tags and all that kind of stuff, it'll get it. And you can also check unregistered domains. So you import, export URL list, we all know about that. You can once again, you can use the cloud to do that if you sign up to any of these services down the bottom, Google Drive, Dropbox, or OneDrive, SkyDrive. As you can import, so you can export. If you use a specific RSS mixer or aggregator, you can export as an RSS XML list if you want to. You can import or export files that you've saved previously or got from somewhere else as text or as an XLSX file if you use Excel. And then you've got a load more list tools down here, so you sort by platform popularity, randomize harvester URLs, which is very handy if you don't want to keep hitting the same ones, or prefix URLs in harvester grid with hypertransport protocol // which is very handy if you are removing duplicates and you've got the same site both as with and without that. You get sites at www.thissite.com and http://www.this, and it will sometimes show it's two separate sites. And I know even in Google Webmaster Tools they're shown as two separate sites, but really once you get there, they're the same bloody site, aren't they? For all practical posting and commenting and link building purposes, they're the same site. And you may want to append all your sites with that, so you can then sort for duplicates and remove them, which is very handy. Again, very handy, something somebody's asked for. The comment tool is pretty similar, and all the rest is there. So this isn't a review. It wouldn't be fair to review a beta, and I would be very... I don't believe you should I'll review a product when it comes out. This is just a feature set. All I will say is that using the proxy harvester, it is a lot faster. It's probably a tiny bit faster than GScrapper now. I am going to keep calling it GScrapper. I don't care if anybody corrects me and says it's GScraper. It's got double P. It's Scrapper. it is a tiny bit faster than GScrapper, and it was slower. And with the right settings up here in terms of your threads and whatnot, you can actually make it considerably more efficient. There are things I do need to test, like does it still fall over if the number of URLs I've harvested reaches a 7-figure number and all that kind of stuff. But that's not something I'm going to review until the final product's out, because I don't think that would be fair to review unfinished products. Just so you guys know, as I say, very important, this is free. If you already own Scrapebox, you don't have to buy this. It's just when it's finally released, you'll be updated to this, and I think that's a fantastic addition. How they'll monetize it, I'm certain, is that we can expect more premium plugins. Now, I don't mind that, because the basic functionality here is brilliant. It's only ever increased over time, which has got better and better and better. If they want to add functionality which takes a guy coding months to write, then I think that's only fair that I pay, because it's normally a small amount, 20, 30 bucks, whatever, to buy that premium plugin. That's fine, as far as I'm concerned. That's great, because it doesn't affect the core working of Scrapebox, which is and always has been excellent. It's always been a leader there. So there we go. Sorry it's 25 minutes, but I think it's probably worth it because it's such a damn good tool. Scritty at demondemon.com, signing off.